where he,
Hi, Tina.
he's
I think
excited,
that's what
he's
her name
excited,
was.
where he will be
But anyways, naked chicken ingredient soup in the Senate here.
and eating
I found this
worms
one
and
out. Oh, we
bugs
don't want that. We want
and
this.
clover,
Need to
and
fix
in
it
the fresh
first.
sunshine, he'll have his feet on the ground, he'll be very happy.
Fix this
And that is a
first.
technique that we love doing for our chickens, to put them out into the fresh air and sunshine.
And we're go time.
And raise a very healthy
Now, for what I'm
organic
doing,
chicken.
this
Thank you.
is one of those things in life that you really just gotta understand about what I'm gonna pick up a notebook here at 7 o'clock. A new little one, a new little Warhammer size one that I got. Little, what is it, a 4x6 or something like that. And just do it up inside some of the mistakes of the stranger in town, this guy that can do stone yeah, anyways, and doing them, not just necessarily anything you pound out on that rock, but what is it, 1-0, I have a chicken, I have to know how to make a chicken stay alive. It may not be a very happy chicken, it may be a lonely chicken, but a chicken nonetheless, and it is alive. And that.
There you can see we got the feed all in it. Chickens look pretty happy. They're in their new home.
Okay, much better.
As my wife was saying, they got worms, they got
As you're going
clover,
through your
they
day,
got grass, they
I'll
get
probably
the
be
ball, they get
cranking out
sunshine.
more than 1 or 2 a day, because actually there's some pretty simple lines in there. I'm not saying mine are going to look like Picasso's here, but mine don't need to for what I'm doing. It's a little different for how that, with the right mechanic of chicken, come out just in such a way. Oh, tulips, so good. Just get you a little mini gun inside here.
Be able to be in the shade at the same time too.
So that's the thing I've been playing with here. These are beta models from the large-scale industrial farm, but the industrial farm, however, Riddick, is a base of X. Yeah.
You can see there's a couple
Anyway.
of wheels there, right there in the front.
And doing what we're doing, this is a really nice structure. I love how he did this, set up that, which heresy or Horus model you want to set up, but all of them, Pig Farm would also be another one on the 10 variances on the city mod, which we're going to get into in here in a second, the Moogard, 10 city models or blocks. So when I'm dealing with,
they get fresh air.
No.
And they're protected from predators. You can see that there's predator wire around it, and so we've had these out here for several
10
years
models
now,
on the city block here for actually certain geometries. One starts here in this room. There's one with my back to that wall. There's no reason for my nose to be to that wall. For many of the CT paradoxes where the electron could be, I might be there, but it's probably for a very short reason of action. Touch it, come back, do it. But if you take everything out of this room and start it in there, that would be some volume of the density or weight of the displaced water. If me, you, and him are in there, so integrating into that, a cow model, whether it be the butcher setup on here, it might be a job, you know, something on the farm, hand practice task. That's where you like to station in on that, or at least that's where I would start you, right? Somewhere's in that area. Okay, that's got a lot of this stuff, landscaping in there. Cow farming's for you, big guy, or chicken farm.
Come out here and move the coop with the dolly. As you can see, that's an easy
that would be this one here as they're processing it, but there's still an X mechanics to it in the seed stem swag models. You know, there's a fire flower number there in there as we're going through this, and I just wanted to actually process this through. That's good for my timeline. It's good for somebody else's timeline. Once hopefully I have something done with it, and you should know some of my results about what kind of line I'm looking for as I expand out into like the pie charts of town. Like, you want to think about logging in certain areas, not necessarily because it's the town industrial model. This is Warhammer. This is your apocalypse about how you want to deal with the pie charts, and it might actually be beneficial at some level if it's at 0 or 1 like that. You would still do a property like that, right? You would move through the loose timber to burn it up in the fire pit that you got out back instead of cutting down all the trees. Or you would cut down the appropriate tree, do the site reclamation, do an area at a time. Maybe you can handle a couple areas in a compressed timeline, something like that. And that gives you those M1 and M2 steps. Most most commonly for you, that's why that system would probably work well for you and anybody else that was trying to do the same task. So, let me just for do piggy reasons.
Add a little nutrition for the chestnut trees, and
oh no,
that every little bit helps. The chestnut trees are about 5 years old.
You don't have to do pig. You can do things like how to skin a buck, or do the process. If you only had to, you only need really chickens and some meat animal there. Let's see if I can just get the Q word to make sure I remember what I was thinking about. I just need a little piggy. Perfect. A little beginner starter. First step there, Sheldon. All your paperwork in class.
One of the most challenging times for
I'll make sure
you're interested in raising
Oh,
pigs
yeah.
on pasture,
She's going
but
in there.
you don't quite know where to start.
Send it.
It's easy to get inspired, but now that
Loving
it's
it.
time to get
So
started,
this
you need
should
some
be
more
alright.
in-depth guidance, and Heifer USA is here to help. This video is exactly the tool you need to learn the very
Figure out
first
how to
steps
draw.
to
Well,
raising
if you can
pigs
trace
on
out,
pasture.
get your books.
We'll teach you
Regular-
where to keep your new piglets,
Regular
how
books,
to prepare
like
for their arrival,
anything that
and
I have
what to
written
do
on
when they
paper in
finally
which you
arrive
have
on your
seen
farm.
some of
Stay
my
tuned
maps.
until the end of this
That's a
video
little piggy.
to learn how you can get a free
Back in
new
the day,
resource to help
back in
you
the day now,
succeed in
when I
raising
was a bad
pasture
monkey,
horse.
I'd print out a whole 12, well, what is that, a 4 by 2 piece of glass, or 4 by 3 piece of glass right there, and you print it all out on paper, big deer, and then you lay it to it, and you engrave it in with the Dremel, you don't get in there crazy. You lay it all out on a headstone and engrave it in over the headstone, right on it, and then tear it all off, and then fill in all the shades, and they get it.
To your farm. And then the third one will be training your piglets and getting them ready to move out to pasture.
Did you see that Blackstone picture I had inside of there? This is me in
So a
Princeton, honed in
well-prepared
stone.
receiving area
Over there,
is
machine
very
honing,
important when
hand
your
honing,
pigs
machine
come in.
honing.
So
You
they're
got
gonna
little
have
scrubber
a little
pad,
bit of a
little
stressful
100,
time
2,000
transitioning from where they're
pack
coming
grip.
from, that transportation ride, and then arriving at your new farm. So
All
just
right, so
having
we got that
everything
done.
set
So
up
how
and
else can we switch
prepared
this out?
will
Thinking about
really
Hancock.
help those new
Let's really
pigs
think about
settle in
crash
and become
model.
less
I could do
stressed
one
when they
farm.
get to your
Anybody
farm.
could do one farm. We could talk about why the stressors or the mathematics to the judge or somebody on the loan
Before you
would,
receive
even if
piglets
I
to your
don't
farm,
get
you
it,
wanna make sure that
would
you
have
an
time
appropriate
symmetry to
area
that
already set aside to
moment
receive and
of
train those
doing it
piglets.
at
So
that
here
level,
at
or
Heifer
something that
USA,
looked
we are using
looked
an already existing
adjusted
barn
to that
we
function in
just
some
added
way,
some infrastructure
and
to
that would be
make
it.
it
And otherwise, you're
available
gonna
to
get
train
shoulder to
piglets.
shoulder with
We
people
follow
inside of the
the
ecotopia
standards
problems.
made by
You
the
can
Grassroots
integrate
Farmers
those subjects
Cooperative.
in.
And
Maybe
so
you
we
like
need
to
to have
hardline your
6
thesis
square
with
feet
something like
per
that.
pig
Not let a lot of
available
room in
our
there for the
receiving
conversation.
area. 4
You know,
square
if it's their
feet
first
of
ones,
that
little piggies
needs
here.
to be covered by a
They're
roof
not
that
going to
goes
understand that,
out
you know,
of
Radicotopia,
inclement weather, out of the
Milgram,
sun. So if you are doing
Stanford
a batch
experiments.
of
These
100
are
pigs, you need to have
things
600
that you
square
need to
feet
know.
available to them. And 400 of that needs to be
So
covered.
bing bang boom, there's
The
3 of them in
existing
the psych
barn
house.
that we
Read
are currently
technique,
using
expose
here
information.
has
That's
2
another photoelectric
sides,
effect
and
kind
then
of
a
a
really
thing,
nice
aren't you?
roof.
It
The
felt like that
outside
to you. It'll
pasture
feel like
area
that to
is
the
actually
person
an old
administering
corral
that to
system,
you.
so there's pipe
And there are
fencing
subtle
out there, so we
variances
use
on
that as our
which
perimeter
symmetry
fence,
that
and
might
then
be
we
in
just
at
put
the
up some
very,
hog
very
panels
specific
as our
moment.
inside
And so
perimeter
therefore,
fence. So I
little piggy
really
need
like
food,
this
chickies
setup
need
because
food,
it's
cows
nice and
need
it's
food,
open
but then
to
you
the
get
air.
into
We
the
get some
whole,
good
hay.
ventilation going
Hay is
through
another
here.
very good
We're
one.
also protected by the roof from the sun and inclement weather. The outdoor section of our piglet receiving area has a lot of thick, tall foliage.
Type in. What did I say? Oh, well.
I'm Jeff Lewis. I've pretty much always worked with celebrity clients. When I usually design houses, I immediately
Good
know
something about the land. I'm expecting getting it, and paying it out front before you go all off the grid and tell everybody they need to go off grid with you, huh? You ant hill kid, cult leader. Cult leader down on the range. Sorry. Sometimes them farm boys don't give a shit. Every once in a while, a city boy put up with it no more. Go back to the woods, hillbilly.
And I wanted to talk about the hardest part of starting a hay farm.
Hey, Ezekiel.
Walk in here to
Neighbor.
the barn a little bit.
Definitely.
You know, it's when you start a hay farm, it
if
can
we're gonna
be,
downgrade it,
right,
just some guy with a
financially
hand loom, right? You know, a hand pedal, the whole thing.
You know,
No,
we've been
John
very
Deere didn't get
fortunate
involved
that,
with the loom. We're just
I have
making,
a higher paying job,
what are they?
day job,
4 foot wide
shot
by
engineer,
whatever long,
and I'm
forever,
older,
as long as the strings
too,
work
and
out.
when it came
Or
time
we'll
to
cut them off, and then
invest in
after
barns
that,
and
we're not going to
equipment,
just sell blank. We're going to cut the fabric.
I
We're
had
going to
money
sew
set
that fabric
aside,
together in smart ways that makes it
to
more
take care of these
valuable
kind
than
of
the sum of its
purchases.
parts to begin with.
But we did start out with older
And then we're going to get a silk screen
You know, we
factory
had
in
to build
Demo
up our
Ranch.
wagons
Right?
from running
We'll
gear.
blow
We
this
had to
shit
find
up.
those things. There's some right there I need to work on this winter.
So, silk
over in
screen,
the
we need to
weeds
have one of
is the
them.
hay rake,
That's on the farm next. Now we
and
got the
there's a
farm,
New Holland
all the
68
animals, everybody's eating and
up there
happy.
around here
Got it.
somewhere.
And what do we got, farmer? A bunch
And,
of
we bought all
assholes
that
don't know
stuff on
do
the cheap,
anything, and they're
and
not
kinda
doing
helped us
anything.
get
We need
started.
something to do with them. Fun or damn it, get
And
them
while
here.
we got some decent tractors,